All right, the title of my sermon tonight is called I Have Set My Affection. I have set my affection. If you can please turn to 1 Chronicles chapter 29. 1 Chronicles chapter 29. And God has made man with the ability to have affections for things. And that's not by accident, that's by God's design. And it is a very powerful force in a person's life when they have affections towards something. If you think about it, every person, every man, woman, child, they have affections for things. That's how God has made man. For example, even my children, like Lily, she's affectionate. She has set her affection on novels, on wanting to be an author, and she's set her affection on wanting to be a mum and have a big family. So she's got those good affections. In Georgia, she set her affections on sewing and being creative and making dresses and all those sort of things. So everybody has got affections, and that's a good thing, and it's a very powerful force. So we need to make sure that we use our affections in a godly way. And if you think about it, even a bum, you call a bum a person, homeless person, not the part of your body, but a homeless person who might just live on their mate's couch. They have affections. Like, their affection is for being lazy. It might be affection towards watching TV, watching movies. Affection towards being a doll bludger. Like, everyone has affections. And it says there in 1 Chronicles chapter 29 verse 3. Have a look there. It says there, moreover, because I have set my affection. So we need to choose to set our affection on something. We're all going to have affections. They're always going to be on something. But if we're not purposeful, if we don't choose to set our affections on the right things, they're going to be set on something and they're going to be on the wrong things. So David says here, because I have set my affection to the house of my God, I have of my own proper good of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my God, over and above all that I have prepared for the house, for the holy house. So we can see that David chose to set his affection on God's house. And David was a man that is known for wearing his heart on his sleeve. Let me just read to you some psalms which give us an insight into David's heart. He was a passionate man, he was an affectionate man, and a man that was zealous for God. Let me just read to you, say there in 1 Chronicles chapter 29, Psalm 27 verse 8 says, when thou saidest, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. So you can see how David is affectionate for God, and he walked closely with God. And I get the feeling here that God will just have to whisper to David, David, I want you to come aside and pray. And then David like, yes, Lord, if you tell me to pray, I will seek your face. And he was quick to do that because he had set his affection on God and God's house. Let me also read to you from Psalm 41, verse 1 and 2. And this is one of my favourite verses in the Psalms. As the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O God. My soul thirsteth for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? So we're starting to see that David has set his affection on God. He's a man that's passionate for God, zealous for God, and he wears it on his sleeve. He's very open about how he feels. So some other words for affection, to help us get a bit of an understanding of what affection is, can be fondness, love, or liking, you like something, or endearment, like something's dear to you, or feeling, or tenderness. That's how we need to be towards God and the things of God. We need to set those affections not on carnal things, not on worldly things, but on God and God's house. So affection is a very powerful force in your life. And the thing is, with affection, when you set your affection on something, you might be prepared to do so much for that thing, as far as, so you might have a job, or you might have a business, and you might be prepared to put in, say, 40 hours a week towards your business. But because you set your affection on that thing, and it's a part of who you are, you're going to find yourself doing more than what you originally prepared to do for that thing. And that can work both good and bad. For example, someone who might decide they want to be a gambler. And they might say, look, I'm going to keep it under control, I'm going to gamble just once a month. But because they've set their affection on that thing, they're going to find that pretty soon it's twice a month, and then it's twice a week, and then it's every day. And when they're at work, they're on their phone, on tab, whatever, gambling, because they've set their affection on that thing, and it's taken them further than what they expected. And when you set your affections on God, you might think, well, I'm going to go to church once a week. I'll go soul winning once a week. And that's what you might be prepared to do. But because you've set your affection on those things, you're going to find, no, I'm going to go 3 times a week. I'm going to go soul winning as much as I can. Because setting your affection is a very powerful thing. Let me read to you Colossians chapter 3, verse 1. If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. It's so important as believers that we choose to set our affection on God and those spiritual things which are above. Why do people leave church? Or why do you see that person at church? He's there 3 times a week, he's soul winning, he's at the Bible studies, he's zealous. Why does he stop going to church? He only goes once a week. He stops soul winning. It's because he set his affection on things on this earth. He set his affection on other things. And those other things start to draw him away from God. Let me read to you 2 Timothy 4 verse 10. And one of Paul's companions was a guy called Demas. And he's mentioned 3 times. The first time he's mentioned in a good light as being a blessing to Paul. And the second time he's just mentioned that, Demas is here. But the third and final time, 2 Timothy 4:10, Paul says about Demas, for Demas hath forsaken me, having loved this present world. There was once where Demas set his affection on the things above, but now, because he set his affection on the world, he's forsaken Paul. He's gone after the things of the world. Why does a man neglect his family? Because he's got his affection on other things. And it's the same with church. People leave church because they set their affection on other things. Have a look there, 1 Chronicles chapter 29, verse 1. Go to verse 1. Let me read to you there. Well, first of all, jump to verse 3 again. Like we said before, the things you set your affection on, you're going to go far and beyond what you actually originally prepared to do. And that's exactly what David found himself doing. Let's read verse 3 there again. It says, moreover, because I have set my affection to the house of my God, I have of my own proper good of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my God, over and above all that I had prepared for the holy house. So he prepared to give so much, but because he set his affection on God's house, he went over and above what he had originally prepared. So you can see how God's made man with the ability to be affectionate for things, that we would use that affection on the things of God, because it's going to take us further than what we originally expected we could go. It's a powerful force. So you think of the alcoholic. He starts just drinking every now and then at the social events, and then he starts drinking at home, he starts drinking on the weekends, and before he's an alcoholic. He's drinking every day. He's sneaking alcohol into work. There used to be, when I used to work at the jail, this guy used to keep on getting drunk at work like an officer. And they worked it out that he's injecting alcohol into his oranges. See, I bet you he didn't prepare to do that when he first started setting his affection on alcohol. So it's a powerful thing. So you need to make sure you don't set your affections on the things of this world. And the thing is, with affections, they're contagious. They're contagious. So if you set your affection on something bad, you can be contagious to your brothers and sisters in the Lord. For example, at work, there was a couple of guys at work who set their affection on running. And they used to always talk about their running, and they're passionate about it, and they're zealous for it. And I started running. Like, I caught the same zeal, the same affection they had. So it can work for good and work for bad. But let me read to you real quick. Lost my page. Verse 1. Furthermore, David the king said unto all the congregation, Solomon my son, whom alone God hath chosen, is yet young and tender, and the work is great, and the palace, this is not for man, but for God. So when we set our affection on the church, we're not doing it for man, we're doing it for God, and we ought to be as zealous and as affectionate as we can. And David, he wanted other people to catch that same zeal. And I'll close by reading to you from verse 5. Have a look at this. And the same question David asked, the readers of the psalm, I'll ask you. For the gold for things of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and for all manner of works to be made by the hands of artificers. And who then, this is a question, who then is willing to consecrate his service this day unto the Lord? And I'll leave it at that question. Are you ready to consecrate your service this day unto the Lord? Set your affections on the Lord. Amen.